What's up, guys? This is our episode number 9. I'm Victor, the host of On My Grind podcast. Today we got Gabriel.
How's it going?
Joining us today with a little bit of a conversation. Before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself, brother?
Of course. My name is Gabriel. I'm a 24-year-old. I'm from Costa Rica originally. I am the founder of Outlooks, a fitness clothing brand that will be soon in operations in the US on 2026. And I'm a huge passion guy for all that it is: fitness, content creation, sales, networking with people. So here we are.
Yeah, man. So, kind of, our topic today was I want to talk about, because you seem like a pretty confident guy with everything you already said with what you started, branding company or social media. So I kind of wanted to start with that. And for you personally, what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence, huh? For me, confidence is having the ability to know that you're able to do something, right? Let me explain it a little bit better. So, as you know, as we grow, we professionally, personally, every day we go through challenges. We have to take a risk, right? And most of the time, and including myself, I didn't have a lot of confidence before, so I lost a lot of opportunities, right? But for some reason, I just started self-reflecting myself, and I realized that I was losing a lot of value by doing that. And then as I started growing, working on my business and doing different type of jobs like hospitality, medical field, fitness, or furthermore, I realized that it's like the same pattern. You just have to make sure you're able to fulfill a task and just keep learning. So if you're able, for example, to work on a sale on the medical field, that means you're able to have a conversation with someone and you're able to build rapport, build a relationship, and close a deal. So if you had the capability of doing it in the past, if you're shooting for a new opportunity, it's just pretty much the same pattern, but it is a different area, right? So just knowing that you're able to do something and having all that evidence of who you really are, and that you're able to push it to different areas, you're able to adapt in your environment.
Right. That's kind of what, to me, that's what confidence is basically saying. Even though it's something different, you're just like, well, I've done something like this before, right? I mean, for my case, that's kind of when, as far as the clinic's concerned, it's funny because, with work it's pretty chaotic and all this other shit, but really confidence started with even before I became a physical therapist. I was able to handle a job that was 10 times more chaotic than I'm in right now. So when something happens, I've dealt this, I've dealt with all this crap before. So it's really kind of just, I feel like, like you said, kind of looking in the past of what we've already done and basically going from there, right? Is that kind of what you
pretty much
summarize it, right?
Just reflecting on yourself, that if you were able to do it before, you can still do it again.
You can do it again.
Pretty much.
And again and again.
And again.
For sure. So how do you feel like somebody can look pretty confident on the outside, but knowing inside you're pretty insecure? Have you ever felt that way? I
have felt that way. So I think people have the capacity to make a really good mask for that, right? But at the long run, you just know you're lying to yourself,
right?
And that's something that you don't want to keep long term, because you're not going to be able to do your 100%,
right?
And that's something I struggled with in the past. That I think it was mostly the fear of rejection rather than me just losing the confidence, right? Because we always want things in a certain way, or we want to get things done, right?
Right.
So what happens is when we don't get it that way, something triggers you. The thing is, sales, or in this case, just in general, networking, talking to people, a lot, there is social anxiety for a lot of people. I was not able to hold a conversation to someone or look in the eyes when I was younger. And that's something that I build myself up just by trying, started getting rejected. I used to resell clothes when I was 15, 16 for commission. So I'm hey, do you want to buy this pair of Nikes? I'm no, okay, next, until I got the yes. So when I got the first yes, I realized, okay, if I'm able to convince someone or be able to create something with this person or like build their confidence and trust for a deal, I can do it more times. So it's just like, for me, it's just having the capacity of really, really, really control your emotions. Because I believe that some people have the capacity to be confident externally, but they don't know what it really is going inside and they don't do that work. And that's something that can be like reflected on how you even talk to someone one day. And
Right,
you can harm someone, you can say maybe not your best, or you can explain yourself in the best proper way. And it's everything coming from the inside because there is work that you haven't done. And once you realize that, you really grow your confidence.
So you're saying that working on yourself on the inside will stop the insecurity, because that's basically what it is, right?
Right.
If you're coming out confident and you're not inside confident, in the long term, let's say you're just asking somebody out on a date and you build yourself up to say these specific lines and you come off confident, eventually down the line she's going to find out that you're insecure. So that's kind of that's how you can tell if somebody is on the confident in the outside, but in the inside they're, I feel like, pretty insecure in the kind of long term run. And it's the same thing with business, or if you're working with somebody and they come off initially really, really confident, and then as you work with them, that's when you start catching their
little hints.
Their little hints of like, I don't think this guy's, I don't want to say got it, but they haven't built themselves up where they're ready for whatever situation.
Exactly.
Right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I highly believe that is also like a matter of practice, because like, everything in life, like the more work you put in, the better outcome you get, right?
Right.
Now, obviously we're human beings, like we have all these situations, but unfortunately, like we let our emotions control us, and that's when we lose control, right? Like I have had anxiety like all my life, or I have had it before, and I don't feel like I'm giving my best self in those times, but like when you focus on the things that actually boost your confidence or keep control of your emotions, give you a better performance. Like for example, hitting the gym, right, builds your confidence, helps you clear your mind.
Right.
Also role playing, right? So for example, if you want to be successful at talking to people, you're not going to be able to talk to people if you're just locked out in your room and just not doing nothing, right?
Right.
Or just rather using a cell phone rather than just going to approach someone because you feel fear of failure or rejection.
Right.
So I think that people, or in this case, I have had this experience before. I have had self-sabotage myself by letting an emotion control the reality when I'm talking to someone. So how to explain this? Like, when, for those reasons, you don't feel that you're able to fulfill 100% what you're saying, that's when people start, like, you start catching those hints, right?
Right.
So that's why you always have to be honest with yourself and with everyone you're talking to, because you want to build a relationship, you want to build a business with this person, you want to sell them something, you just want to even just change your day. For example, you don't know what this person is going on, and just by you being confident, you like rating the environment, you can provide value to other people, right? So I highly believe that even though you can be insecure, or everyone has their things internally, right? If you're able to overcome more the pressure rather than their emotions, you'll be able to keep going forward with your confidence. And even if people have those hints, you have the ability to overcome those objections and keep this in goal, because you kept the pressure where it is and you kept the emotions where they were.
Right.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot to uncover, because I wanted to actually, I was going to bring this out later, but you kind of brought it up, how people feel more comfortable texting or messaging than just actually approaching.
Right.
Right. And I'm the opposite. Like I feel better if I go out and just have conversation with somebody than just messaging or texting. Do you think this, it's kind of maybe changed topic, but I feel like it's still kind of within the realm. Do you think social media's got anything to do with that? Do you feel like it's almost, it's affecting our, maybe not just men specifically, but just people in general, affecting their confidence in a negative way?
I believe it does. And wow, that's a deep question, but the issue with social media is that it has just brainwashed everyone, including myself, with what life should be or our inspiration, right? Like, because we start scrolling and we see all these successful cases of people, right? And the issue is when you start comparing yourself with them.
Right.
So you see, like for example, this guy, 6'2", 200 pound, lean guy. You see like his interaction with people, right? And then let's say, for example, you haven't put that work in, or you just are different, and it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, what matters is our confidence and how we show up to people. But unfortunately, like materialism, validation from people, and all this exterior noise affect our mentality, and especially later on, even in fitness. For some people, inspires, but for some people, triggers certain insecurities within them. And it's just like a matter of how you see social media. Some people see it as an opportunity. Some people see it as a way out of the reality. Some people see it as a business opportunity. Some people just see it for whatever purpose they have, right? But
right.
Pretty much, it does affect your personal perspective to a certain point if you let it, right? Because if you let what other people think about you, rather than you like what your content is or whatever you want to post online, that's where the problem starts, right?
Right.
And then that starts affecting all of your environment. Because if you feel the same way at your school or at your job or with your partner or just with yourself, you're just gonna keep yourself in that loop. It's like a constant circle.
Right.
It gives like a cycle, and it's harder to get out.
Right. Yeah, that's exact. So that's how it turns out. So when you said it's almost more of a mindset when you're going through social media. Of, let's say you're going through social and you see this person, $500,000 house, a Lambo, whatever car, and you think to yourself, fuck, why don't I have that yet? Right? Instead of, if you have your confidence built up where you're disciplined in what you're doing and you have your goal set and you look through that, the mindset should be like, oh, good for them, man. Like they probably worked hard for that, or they, had some kind of goal set up for them to get there, instead of saying, well, that house that they're showing or that car that they're showing is presenting them all their worth, whereas, well, I don't have that, so that means I must be worthless. I think social media is kind of like we said, it is what you make it out to be, right? So for you use it more for business, right? Would you say?
Me,
at this point,
yeah, I use it mostly for business, try to network with people, and later on, I need to work on my content creation part, but I want to just make my message clearer to my audience and be able to explain them a little bit, like who you are. That's like the concept of personal brand itself, right? Like in a world like with all this marketing, all this big influencers, like if you want to start, you need to make up something different, right? Because if you just pose yourself with like working out with the same motivational phrase as everyone, you're just one more in there.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You're
right?
you're not differentiating yourself from a larger mass of people that are already doing that
all over the world. So
right.
Well, like what value that that you have, because everyone has a value. Like what value can you provide to the world without feeling insecure to show it?
Right.
I think that's like the biggest thing people should have clear in that sense.
What do you feel like you got? do you feel as though your brand, what do you feel like your value from your brand gives to your community specifically?
Mm-hmm.
And then now that you said you're trying to eventually this year, or at least later this year, you're going to kind of branch out to the United States. What do you feel like your value of the brand is going to come from? Does that make sense?
Right. Well, in this case for the brand, it's not only my values, it's also my business partner's values. We consider ourselves hustlers. Like me personally, like I started like 15, like playing soccer, like try to do something different, you know, like I just have always had like that mentality, and I was able to meet really good people that share that mentality. So in this case, with our brand in Costa Rica, we wanted to change things a little bit, in the sense of we want to provide like a different perspective of what fitness is, because it's not as big as it is in America, right? Or it hasn't been that way until now. And part of us and part of all the successful brands in Costa Rica, what they have shown is just building a right vision, or having like very specific message to the audience of what you want to reflect. And in this case, for like my brand and my partner's brand, it's mostly about your vision, because it doesn't matter where you are right now, if you know where you're going or if you know what you're capable of doing. It's the same as the gym. You go on the gym on day one, you don't know what you're doing, right? The same as your work. You get a training, then you start getting better. The same as college. You don't go from high school all the way to, like, let's say for example, business administration, just like that. It's like a matter of time, of processes, right? So with our brand, our goal is to show people how a process is realistically, because we pretty much started from scratch. We started making like sampling with Dragon Ball shorts and like certain products, and we have learned how to be adaptive with the flow as we have grown in this 9 months. Our goal is to start operations here as soon as possible. Probably will be within the next quarters of 2026.
Also, by like March, April, then, huh?
A little bit later.
Well,
I don't know if you'll know, you know. But overall, it's just like providing those tools of learning how to keep your vision motivated, that you know you can achieve great things on the long run. If you have an idea, you just believe in it and keep going with that. So that's our base foundation for Helix.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. That builds knowing your vision. That comes from confidence, right? I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to bring up that topic, because you being able to do that, just starting it, I feel like you have to be able to believe in yourself quite a bit. I mean, and that seems like you and your partner do, right?
Right.
And so, kind of piggyback about our original topic, what experience in your life would you feel built your confidence the most? I think I know the answer to this question because you kind of mentioned it earlier about the rejection,
right?
And just, do you feel like that's kind of what built you up to start the company, and being able to go for other different whatever business opportunities are out there?
Well, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, no,
sorry.
No, you're good. So what experience, it doesn't have to be recent, just growing up when you were 15, you can talk about that, but what experience do you feel built your confidence the most? Whether a bad experience or a good experience?
Well, I would say it's like a combination of two main things in my life. First and foremost, fitness pretty much changed my mentality, because every day I just want to push hard and like try to surpass myself. Like I don't like going very easy on the gym. I always try to go to failure. We know on the mechanical, like, and all the health part of it's not the best, right? You need to obviously follow a certain fitness plan. But in this case, when you work close to failure, or like just pretty much like by lifting heavy, you're showing yourself that you're not weak. Like, and in a matter of time, you keep going flow and you keep getting stronger, right? So, one part of what has worked for me, at least, is fitness has grown my mentality and has made me realize I am stronger than I thought, right? But on the other hand, as you mentioned, it's pretty much just taking risks, because when you take risk, you're not assuming a no in your head, right? You want to approach someone and they say yes, good for you. If they say no, all right, next, let's go, you go. And that was the hardest part for me growing up, because I wasn't able to do it. For some reason, I was just already on my head. I set myself to failure already. I was like, okay, this person's gonna tell me no, instead of me thinking, how am I gonna be able to have this person say yes?
So you would go in there prematurely thinking, prematurely thinking like, oh, they're probably gonna say no anyway.
Yes.
And you changed that mindset of how do I get them to say
yes.
Yes.
And that's part of regaining control. And if you don't control yourself, you cannot control a conversation or aspects of your area or your life, right?
Your life, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that seems that I. So have you ever seen the movie Scarface?
Yeah.
So you remember that part where this is kind of what I kind of sometimes have the mindset of, let's say,
Tony Montana?
No, Manny.
Oh, right.
When Manny goes to this girl to ask her out, and she tells him no, he's just like, nah, she's a lesbian. Like, that's the only answer. That's how much confidence he had in him. So let's go. Like, you know what? If they say no, there's something wrong with them.
Not necessarily, but like you can just reflect it that way, but like you didn't just move on. It's just like, all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, whatever.
Whatever.
That's from that movie, man. That's one of my favorite lines where he goes up to that chick and she looks disgusting. He's like, man, she's probably a lesbian anyway. So how do you feel like those rejections were kind of important?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because as I was telling you earlier, like you just get used to it. So
just like numb to it.
Yeah, you're just like, I want to get rejected so I can like try to overcome it. You know, like in business or just in general, like by networking, like you're just like, okay, I know by cold approaching or cold calling or cold email, I am set to failure.
Right.
How I can overcome that failure. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Like you just need to have that like mindset of like, you know, you're like, they don't trust you, they don't know you. Why would they, right? Like you're just a stranger asking them about XYZ. Like you need to lower their walls, try to explain who you are, what you do, and so they can build trust in you. And trust cannot be built if there's not confidence. So it's just like, you see like the pattern? If you're not confident, how can I trust you if you don't even believe in yourself?
Right. Absolutely. So do you feel like your confidence long-term wise mainly came from those rejections more than the actual yeses that you get?
Yeah.
Right? Because then, like you said, you got so, almost not failing, but just rejection that every time you get rejected, you're just like, you're gonna get one. Somebody's gonna say yes.
Someone's gonna say yes.
Somebody's gonna say yes. That's why I said one time my buddy got frustrated with, he was asking out girls and he kept on getting rejected, and I was like, dude, do you watch basketball at all?
Do I what, sorry?
Watch basketball?
I should, but I
No, not really. So there was I told him, because he was a Rockets fan back in the day, I told him, if you know James Harden, he shoots the same amount of shots whether he makes them or not. I was like, you ever see James Harden when he misses? What does he do the next play? He just shoots again and again and again until he starts making them, and then once he starts making them, he just keeps on keeping on. So I feel like it's kind of the same thing where yeah, you're gonna miss your shots, but eventually they're gonna get in. And when you miss, you get to kind of practice your craft anyway,
Right.
which is ultimately, I think, more important than anything. So when that opportunity comes, whether it's in business, finance, you'll be ready.
Yeah.
And I feel, man, I think that every podcast that I've done, fitness keeps on getting brought up with whatever topic we're talking about. I think, like you said, getting stronger and being disciplined in the gym is so freaking important, man.
Yeah.
That for me, that's when I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym, I try to make sure that when I'm at the gym, I make sure that's the hardest thing I'm going to do for the day. So whatever else gets brought up the rest of the day, I'm just like, try lifting whatever I just fucking lifted earlier, or try being in the sauna for 20-30 minutes compared to just having this conversation with this person. It's easy.
Yeah.
Like,
It is a matter of perspective.
right. So that's kind of how I look at it now. Like I said, just making sure I do the gym's the hardest thing I do that day, and trying to make sure the rest of the day is, I don't want to say easy, but compared to weight training or whatever sauna therapy I'm doing, is easier compared to the rest of the day. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. So for you, does because when you're weight training and you're really dialing in, that also involves discipline. Do you feel like when you're really dialed in with whether your weight training or your fitness journey, does that that discipline, do you feel like that helps also with your confidence?
Yeah, 100%. And that's that's where consistency has a huge role, because I have been the most disciplined person ever, but I have also been the most undisciplined person ever. So I know both perspectives, right? So I'm coming from me in that sense, you get comfortable, right? And as we know in business and in life, we're not supposed to be confident. We're always have the mentality go further, right? So I have been in both situations, and my confidence level, it has been 100 times greater when I am dialed in rather than when I'm not. And it's also a matter because when you have a goal or an objective, you have to be obsessed for that, right? You want to accomplish it. It's just not if you don't put as much effort, or you don't trust on it or yourself, your idea, or let's say your vision or the target that you have, right? It's not gonna grow. So you have to always keep yourself pushing harder. And part of that is habits, right? I have had very good habits. I also have had really bad habits, scrolling a lot, 10 hours. I've done that, and I'm not proud of that. But it's just try to make sure that you always try to give your best. That's the best answer I can give you.
What do you feel like kind of throws you off to do that?
Distraction.
Just distraction?
Just distraction. Sometimes I feel I have been very overwhelmed by a lot of things. And that's where actually I'm going back to one of the things I said earlier, and it is the matter of having a goal clear and not letting objections or rejection affect you. When you lose that control, you step back. Does it make sense? Remember earlier when we were saying a little bit more about if you know who you are, and the undeniable proof of who you are, when your pressure overcomes your emotion, you're dialed.
Right.
When it's the other way, that's when the hints start coming.
That's when you get distracted.
Exactly. Right. So it's just a matter of being dialed in and having more trust on your long-term vision rather than distraction.
Right. That's almost like thinking, let's say because Lord knows I've had this where I'm having a bad day or a bad week or even a bad few months, and if I let that get to my head, and that makes me say almost emotional, I get frustrated. That's when I start kind of leaning into the bad habits of, oh, I guess I'll just have a few drinks tonight, whatever. I had a long day, I had a long week, and then that affects me the next day, right? Don't go to the gym. Even if I do go, I'm not hitting the weights like I want to, or if I get in a few extra hours of sleep, or if it makes me go to sleep late, right? Then I don't get enough sleep for the next day, and if I don't get enough sleep the next day, guess what? I'm not present for my patient care. I'm not there for my patients, and then ultimately, which means I'm also not ready for my team, because they need to lean on me.
Right. So
that's kind of long term too, man. That's why I think discipline is so important, not just for yourself, but the people that lean on you.
Right.
That's why you gotta make sure you almost keep that tunnel vision. Where if you do end up, like I said, drinking more than you need to, and next day you come in and you're not mentally prepared for the day, that's going to throw you off. And say, I can't give this person's care enough, and then they don't come back, visits start to drop, that means I have to cut employee hours. So that's kind of how I almost make myself like shit, if I don't do this, I'm going to let all these other people down. That's kind of how I sometimes look at things too. Yeah, so going back to the gym, man, like you said, do you think also with you being kind of dialed in and locked in, and you start to see the changes in your body too, does that make it easier for you to approach people with a little bit more confidence also?
Yes. And this is a topic that people say it doesn't matter, but realistically it does matter, and it's your physical appearance. Mm-hmm. Like, your body is the only thing without money that represents you. This is your temple, right? And if you don't treat it like a temple, people are gonna see it as a, how can I call it? You know what I'm trying to explain, right?
Yeah, the way I see it is, let's say you go into business with somebody, right, and they seem to take care of themselves, they look good. To me, what that tells me is they have discipline, and with just taking care of their body. Where let's say I run into somebody else that alcoholic, obese. It's like, well, if they won't even take care of themselves, why would I trust them to help take care of me?
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it. That's why I think people that take it. I mean, I don't want to sound, what's the word I'm looking for, but bias, I guess. But I do, when I see somebody in really good shape, I'm like, this is the kind of person that I want to be surrounded with and around.
Right.
Those type of people,
mm-hmm.
with that kind of mindset.
Right.
Of course, there's trashy people that look good, obviously, but probably more people that take care of themselves are more disciplined and have a better chance of taking.
Yeah.
Being good at business.
Yeah. And also, not only for business, like there is people that I know, or like I believe you might know, there's people that, for example, they don't work out, or like they're not as passionate for fitness or weightlifting, but they still have a very strong sense of who they are, or their inner confidence. So it's just like having a balance between your physical self and your mental part of self, right? So it's just like having like a strong balance between those. For me, it's like the biggest opportunity you have within yourself to be successful, because no one can stop you. Either physically, you're strong, you're self-motivated, you're driven, your body can move, But if your engine cannot move, doesn't matter. And the other way around, if you have a very strong brain or sense of who you are, but your body doesn't reflect that, it's a little bit harder for people to trust. So it's a matter of just like building yourself up rather than like holding you back for fear or just being like, you can be afraid. You can be afraid of change. You can be afraid of the future. You can be afraid of what people are going to say. Oh, if I start working out right now, they're going to say, no, he's a rookie. He's this. Why is this person doing even here at the gym? He's so skinny or so like with overweight, right? People don't really care, and you shouldn't care because like it's you trying to change. But some people, once again, like when their confidence is not as big, and when they start letting other people's objections or ideas start affecting them, they're going backwards instead of going forward. So you need both, let's say for example, the body and the mind to move forward, right? Let's see like a car. Does it make sense?
No, it makes sense. Yeah, and kind of what you said, like as far as people, when I see overweight people or let's say somebody really skinny at the gym, dude, I love it. I'm just like, oh man, freaking good for you. You know, like that's the first step in changing your life, I think.
It takes courage.
It does take courage, and it takes confidence, and then that's how you build your confidence, right? Like before, like when I started going to the gym, like I had no idea what the hell I was doing, dude. And then just over time, between working out with some friends or just looking up stuff on YouTube, I dialed that in. But more importantly to me also is I was able to dial in the nutrition aspect also,
right? Which
people don't realize is really important. Because when I see somebody in really good shape, not only am I like, yeah, they're disciplined with going to the gym, but I was like, they're also really disciplined in what they're eating too. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's a temple, and they're really taking care of themselves with that, right? And that's why, God, it's so important, man. The weight training. Kind of want to kind of bring it back to kind of the confidence as far as, let's say you see somebody that there's probably a little insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think the loudest people are the most insecure people most of the time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think sometimes there's an impulse that some people have when, for example, they need to let things out. Because they haven't done the work by themselves, they try to have others being accountable for their own part, right? So, for example, I have been there in the past too. Like, I have been like very mature in that sense, like when I was younger. And I just realized that, once again, people really don't care of you, right? No. So, they don't really care. So, like, even if you make noise, like, hey, please give me attention, they're not gonna care.
No.
And that attention has to go towards you, right?
And it's not in a positive way.
Exactly. So might as well do it in a positive way and do it towards you. Like all that attention, all that like confidence or all that energy that you're looking just to prove yourself a point or a business idea or anything that it is, might as well prove it to yourself first. And that's what most people I believe in a part of the areas haven't done, because I have done that myself. And I realize the consequences of those things. And obviously, it's not good on the long run. You want to make sure you're doing things right, because when you're building a solid base, you grow. But when you don't grow, then you just like try to go all over like different areas, it's just gonna be like a mess. So just like having like it starts once again with control your base. You're gonna be able to move your pieces, let's say, right?
Right. So as far as you mean when you can say control, you're talking about controlling your emotions.
Yes.
In certain situations, which can be hard, man.
It can be tough sometimes.
Yeah, I've gotten myself into trouble a few times with my mouth, with controlling my emotions. I've gotten a lot better, I'll tell you that. I know when to shut up now, and that's when I can tell. Kind of what we were talking about earlier, as far as the insecurity. You can tell when somebody's insecure when they're probably talking a bit too much.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I know when I get a little bit nervous, I sometimes, I don't say nervous, but when I'm not feeling confident in a certain situation, I start yapping a little bit more. Yeah. But that's when have you heard I heard this from a song, you got 2 years in one mouth.
No, but that's deep. That's deep.
You gotta listen much more than you talk.
Wow.
Yeah. Paul said that. Yeah, it was from, I think it was Paul. So that's what I try to be like, you know what? Let's just sit down and listen to what this person has to say before they before I cut them off. Mm-hmm. That's how I know insecurity too. If you're trying to speak to somebody and they're just constantly cutting you off, not letting you speak, that's when you just kind of listen to them. That's when if you really pay attention to what they're saying, you'll kind of listen to what their mindset is.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty important too. Just being able to listen and hearing other people's bullshit and catching it pretty quickly is important. How about if you're gonna tell somebody to build their confidence, if it's for them to do something every day, what would be your advice to them to do? For them to start building their confidence, what would you want them? If you're like somebody just felt was down on themselves, they felt like they didn't have enough worth in whatever job, or they don't feel like comfortable talking to a girl, or even the other way around, some girls don't feel comfortable around guys. What advice would you give them as far as to do one thing to build themselves up?
My advice would be to start practicing social interaction. And the reason why is that, for example, I have been very insecure before. I got to a point where I couldn't even look myself in the mirror because I was scared of who I was. And I know it sounds like how, why, but that's something that everyone, I believe, in at least one moment or day of their life, when you're going through bad situation, you have had that feeling, or being insecure, or start overthinking about, and that is fueled by distraction, lack of confidence, lack of discipline, and lack of also boundaries within yourself. So part of that is at least me, I am alone most of the time, and we are in life at the end of the day, right? We go to job, we have our responsibilities, so we need to learn how to trust ourselves, right? And by doing social interaction with people, you are letting people get to know you, who you really are. But when you don't speak up, you lose opportunities. Let's say, for example, we are at the bar, right? And there's someone that you would like to approach, and this person is giving you eyesight or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have two shots. You go, try, talk. Worst case, you get a phone number, or I don't know. It's On the other hand, you just didn't do anything, right? And it's just start building your foundation. You cannot just go try to approach a business owner or a company or just someone if you haven't practiced that, right? So a good advice I will give people to build their confidence is to just try to make follow-up questions with someone. When someone says good morning to you, on the street, hey, how's it going? Oh, by the way, that's a really nice shirt. Where are you from? Just open yourself up. Be confident enough to hold a conversation with someone. They're not there to judge you, and if they do, who cares, right? So mine as well. We go back to the bar example. Hey, how's it going? I'm not interested. Okay, whatever. Cool. Next. That's all. So, but by doing that continuously over time, when you go to the gas station, hey, can you fill me $20 of gas? Number one, perfect, thank you. Oh, by the way, how's your morning going? Have you had coffee? No, I got late to work or something. So, all right, good, man. What do you like for coffee? Oh, I like caramel macchiato. I like black coffee, whatever. You're building that confidence because you're able to hold conversations with people. So, the more social, comfortable you are speaking with authority, the better you get at your confidence.
Right. So just basically having a conversation with anybody and everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's super important too. Because I used to do mental therapy, and I remember I told him one day, I was like, you know what made me feel the best is I went to the gym and I had like 3 or 4 different conversations with 3 or 4 different people, just randomly. And then after the 4th one, I was like, I'm just gonna go talk to this person I want to talk to. That just made me feel good, man. I couldn't. Right. It just gave me like this extra boost of energy, and that's when I was like, I just need to just start having more conversations with people, like outside of work. Because at work it's easy, I'm supposed to, hey, how are you doing? Let's talk about this, blah blah blah. But then outside of work, when I go to the gym, I can go to the gym without saying one word to one person. Same thing with going to the grocery store or whatever it is. So I think you hit a spot on, man. Just being able to just not just say hello to somebody, but just do a few follow-up questions.
Or just a comment, like a respectful compliment.
Right.
Or anything. Like just open yourself by opening a conversation.
Right. And some people need that. Like some people don't get any compliments the entire day, but you can be that one person that said, oh man, I like your hat, or like, oh shit, what do you have a perfume on? What is that smell? It smells really good. And then they'll like, oh shit, like somebody noticed me, because some people go so unnoticed, and that just a way of giving to the world too.
Also,
yeah, it's just you just can't go wrong by being the person that can have a conversation with everybody. Because then, let's say you're the person that can talk to everybody and anybody.
Right.
By the time you go to that girl you want to go talk to, she knows you're not a creep. Oh, he just talks to everybody. Like he's not doing it like he's not being weird about it, because he just this is just how he is. And then at that point, that's when you just tell him your intentions and you go about your way. So yeah, in so many ways, it's really important to have conversations with just a bunch of people.
Right.
Right.
And part of that is the fear of rejection or the fear of failure, because some people do not wish to talk to others because they're afraid of what they're going to say. Or for example, you could be a stranger and like I just approach you in the street, hey man, I like your hat, and you can explode on me because maybe you had a bad day, or you just like thought I exploded your personal space or whatever it is. The thing is, if you let it go to your mind, or if you take it personal, you're cooked.
Right.
So that's when like having stronger mindset rather than your emotions. If you get emotional, you're done, because everyone else is gonna like trigger one of your emotions, any single of them, or all of them at the same time. But if you don't take things personal and you know who you are, it doesn't matter, because like you just were trying. You know why you opened that bridge for a conversation. You know why you did. You know
your intentions.
Exactly. You don't know the outcome, but you know like the reason why.
Right.
If that's the only thing that matters.
If you know that your intentions are well, then, and if somebody gets upset about whatever it is, I can't help them, but I know what my intentions are.
Right.
So, I'm gonna go on my day. Yeah, absolutely. Intentions are so important, man, for sure. But yeah, any last messages you want to give to the listeners about, being the strongest version of yourself at this point?
I would say that being strong is not about being physically strong or mentally strong. It's about taking a decision of knowing who you are. That's like the biggest, how to explain this? The biggest strength a human being can have is their will. And if you lose it, you lose yourself. So we come to like what most of successful people has always tell us, right, is follow your instinct, follow your path. Like, do something that you know that you can provide value to yourself and to others, right? So the biggest strength that you should have is just knowing that you're capable of doing great things, no matter what people tell you. Because some people start getting weaker because of what other people tell them about them. That triggers their emotions again, and we go to the same toxic cycle amongst ourselves. So just my biggest advice I could give to anyone is do not make the mistakes that I made, that I let what other people think reflect who I am. And that's not, and will never be true. You know how you are, you know your values, you know your boundaries, and you know how strong you are. And just being able to show up every day, even though we're having bad situations like personal, family, business, or just anything that you keep showing up, that's the biggest strength a human being could have. And the only way to do it is build through confidence.
And not just showing up, but showing up with confidence and with energy.
Right.
That's because people know, man. People can tell if you're showing up with intention. I think is how I would put it.
Right.
With the intention of helping others, or whatever scenario you're in, whether it's in the medical field like me, or in sales, or with your brand, just having good intentions is really important.
Really important.
Yeah, man. Any last message, man? I think this was fun, dude. This was
yeah,
fun.
it was a completely, actually this is a new experience, and it helps you actually build your confidence as well. For some people, they just grab a camera with content creation. I have had a lot of people that tell me I want to do content, but they don't start, and I don't understand why.
You just gotta start, dude. You just gotta start. Yeah, I wanted to start this at the beginning of last year, and I don't really know what took me so long. I kept on just telling myself, like, well, after I do this, and then one day, still my first episode I ever made, I didn't upload it. But one day I had a buddy come into town, and I was just like, hey dude, let's do a podcast. He's like, about what? And I was like, I don't know. let's just do it. And then after the first one, I was like, I looked at it and I was like, oh, the lighting's pretty shitty. And I was like, well, that didn't flow very well, but we got started.
And here we are, nine, right?
This is 9, dude.
So, see,
Yeah.
like, how much have you been doing this podcast for? How long?
Fuck. I think it was October, maybe.
October?
Yeah.
Have you felt comfortable by doing this?
Oh yeah, it's getting easier and easier every time, just talking to people. That's all it is. But here's the thing though, and I talked about this a few episodes back. I've been doing this as a physical therapist. I do this every day.
Right.
During an eval. I'm just listening, asking questions. I'm just queuing. That's literally what I do for my job. Now I'm just doing it for fun. I'm not talking about pain, which is a lot for me, a lot nicer, and doesn't take my energy away. So that's why kind of at the beginning I already kind of felt comfortable doing it, because I was like, I've been doing this. I'm just doing it in a different way and on camera. That's the only difference, honestly. Yeah. For sure. But, yeah, brother, I appreciate you. Do you want to tell the folks I'm gonna attach this on the description too, but your Instagram, TikTok, social media?
Sure, yeah.
You want to just kind of let them know
where
to find you?
Sure, my Instagram is at Gabo, GABO Amador.cr, and TikTok I'm not there. I will be there. I have to probably mix in between me talking on the camera and me doing some barrel dancing. So yeah, I got my moves. Not really, but you'll make fun of that. And probably content like this, because I want to also show a realistic part of who I am and what I know and things I want to learn, right? So, yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you showing up, and we'll do this again.
Yep.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out.